The NFL is a very grueling league, both physically and mentally, and a lot of times NFL players underperform due to lofty expectations. Between living in a worldwide pandemic and still having to be on top of the most physically demanding league the world has to offer, it's not surprising a lot of players have disappointed in 2020 relative to the hype they had just a few months ago. Now, we're going to be talking about players in today's videos that have had bad 2020 seasons, and by no means are they a draft bust or anything like that, as this year for a lot of people is a year with asterisks next to it. So before we dive into the players in today's video, I do want to say a lot of these guys are young, and it doesn't mean I think they're awful or stains on their franchises, it's just pointing out that they have had bad 2020 seasons. And if you guys missed it, I will give away a Saquon Barkley autographed jersey if we hit 18,000 subscribers before the new year, and believe it or not, only about 43% of the viewers are subscribed to the channel, and we are approaching the 15,000 mark, and I can't tell you enough how much I would appreciate your support in getting to that milestone. So before we get started, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as each only take a second to do. Now let's begin. And we're going to start today's video in Detroit to discuss the third overall pick from this year's class, corner Jeff Okudah. Jeff was selected that high for a reason, but he simply has not panned out so far. As we've discussed countless times, corner in general is the toughest position to translate from college to the NFL, and a large reason for that is Jeff is going up against a player like, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but KJ Hamler or Donovan Peoples-Jones every week, to a Davante Adams, Adam Thielen, and Allen Robinson multiple times per year. This type of adjustment is much easier said than done, and it's a large reason as to why he has struggled so far. PFF grades certainly don't do Okudah any favors as we take a look at rookie corners, and Okudah's is dead last with a 28.6 grade. It should be known that is out of 100, and simply put, Okudah has struggled in 2020. Now, out of other corners like Jalen Ramsey, Stephon Gilmore, Xavier Rhodes, and Richard Sherman, he was selected higher than all of those guys were in the draft, and for good reason. But not having the 4-game preseason to get seasoned a bit hurt corners more so than anybody, because there's only so much they can go off of from practice reps. So in reality, the first 4 NFL games were like a preseason in terms of getting adjusted to the league, and now that we're getting down the stretch of the regular season, I do expect Okudah to finish the year on a strong note. And if his PFF grade finishes below 30 for his rookie year, then the Lions may have a draft bust on their hands. But in the final 6 games of the year, he'll get to play against Davante Adams, any receiver on the Bucs when they play, and Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. These final 6 games of Okudah's rookie year will be telling, as he has been seasoned a lot so far. I loved Okudah as a prospect, and he will get better as time goes on. Next we go to Las Vegas to discuss Raiders receiver Henry Ruggs. Ruggs was the 12th overall pick in this year's draft class, and he hasn't been good through nearly 3/4 of his rookie year. It hasn't been because he's not good or that he's a major draft bust, but more so the Raiders haven't been giving him targets. This is seemingly odd, as drafting a playmaker, and one that can fly like Ruggs can that high, usually translates to multiple games of 7 or 8 plus targets, but Ruggs has just 26 targets in 8 NFL games. His career high as of now is 5 targets, which came in week 1 in a win over the Panthers, in which he hauled in 3 catches for 55 yards. Since then, he hasn't been targeted more in a game than 4 times, and even if he's not getting open, or even if he's struggling with the physicality of the NFL, there are ways around this. The Raiders can bring him in on jet sweeps and do the touch pass that pads quarterback's numbers, but technically is a pass. Plays like those are perfect for a player like Henry Ruggs who can fly. As we said, he has played in 8 games so far and has just 20 touches in those games. The usage or lack of is surprising to me because of his high draft pick, and not only that, but because of how innovative offenses are now and how easy it is to scheme players the football. A quick screen or a touch pass could get Ruggs the ball, and it is safe to say he is faster than 99% of the league. Coaches have always said you cannot teach speed, and I'm more so surprised at the Raiders for not giving him targets or even force-feeding him here and there than I am disappointed in Henry Ruggs' performance. And next we go to the desert to discuss Isaiah Simmons. Now, I want to say he had a great performance against the Seahawks last Thursday night, but as of now, that is an outlier rather than the standard. Hopefully he does start to become a defensive prowess like he was at Clemson, but as of now he has not, but that is not entirely his fault. He has played in at least 50% of the snaps in just 2 games, and one of them was last week. The Cardinals drafted Simmons at 8th overall, and what was really shocking to me was how little they used him in the first half of the year. He played in no more than 29% of the snaps for any game in September and October, and although that's more schematic and game plan than it is Isaiah's actual performance, that is very disappointing that he wasn't on the field. One could argue, and I'm not saying I am, I'm more so saying that this could be argued, that he wasn't that good during those months leading up to the past few weeks, and that's why he was not on the field. However, it is good to see some big steps taken in his game, as he has come to play the times they've played the Seahawks. He had an interception on Sunday Night Football a few weeks ago, which ended up being one of the biggest plays in that game. The NFC West will be a phenomenal division for the next 4 to 5 years, with players like Russ, Kyler, George Kittle, Nick Bosa, and of course, Aaron Donald. If Isaiah plays his cards right, he very well may be in this tier of players. I really can't wait to see his development and how he fares against George Kittle in the next few seasons. As of now though, Simmons is a one-game wonder, but I do fully expect that to change, and I can't wait to see the player he becomes in the upcoming years. And to be clear, I expect all of these guys to get better, not just Isaiah Simmons. So next we go to Jacksonville, and the player we're going to discuss is K'Lavon Chaisson. In 10 games of his rookie season so far, Chaisson has just 1 sack and 2 quarterback hits. For reference, last year as an LSU Tiger, he had 13.5 tackles for a loss, 6.5 sacks, and was a national champion. To say he's went from one extreme to another would be an understatement in terms of team success, but Chaisson has been to this point a big disappointment. Can he still turn it around? Yes, absolutely. He is only 21 and will turn 22 next July, so it's not like he's a 24-year-old rookie that simply cannot adapt to the physical demands of the NFL. The Jags are a horrendous football team, so him not being good kinda gets tossed under the rug because a lot of the media either A, doesn't cover it, or B, simply doesn't care because he's on the Jaguars. Fair or not, that's how it goes in the NFL when a low-market team like Jacksonville drafts a bust, and it's not as noticeable as a Mitch Trubisky going to the Bears. Now, Mitch being a bust didn't help because of who was drafted behind him, but you get what I'm saying. He hasn't had a quarterback hit since late September, K'Lavon that is, and his only sack of the year came back in week 2. His teammate Josh Allen has had, for what he put up in 2019, a little bit of a sophomore slump, but with a duo this athletic and the ceiling between them being very high, I think we can kind of scrap this year in terms of him being a disappointment. Chaisson will get better in 2021, but as of now, as the title suggests, he is a rookie that has disappointed. And the final player we'll go to for today's video is Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. Actually, I'm kidding, he has no expectations with Aaron being in front of him. But in all honesty, it is Colts running back Jonathan Taylor. Taylor was in a situation for a running back that was pretty good for a player coming out of college, and in terms of going to a fit, like we often discuss with quarterbacks of putting pieces around them, the Colts were viewed as one of the best situations possible, and for good reason. The Colts starting left side of the line is Anthony Costanzo, Quentin Nelson, and although he isn't on the left side and in the middle, it is still a good player in center Ryan Kelly. They are a wrecking crew of an offensive line, and for Taylor to go there behind a big line like he had at Wisconsin was a perfect match. However, not only has Taylor not been that good this year, but the Colts offensive line has been down too. Indy ranks just 5th to last in yards per carry in the entire NFL in 2020, compared to tied for 11th in 2019. So while the Colts aren't a top elite teams in terms of yards per carry, they were the past 2 years a team that would grind away wins behind players like Nelson and Kelly, and that is huge in itself. Having players that are able to do things like that and grind away wins and really put teams away is something teams dream of, because by the time the fourth quarter rolls around, opposing defenses are gassed, and we say that now with how Derrick Henry is as a runner. Players are always eager to come up and pop them and drill them in the first quarter with everything they have, but by the time the fourth quarter rolls around, they're not as ready to step up or as willing to as they once were. Similar to that, it's what it's like playing this Colts line in the past, but 2020 has been a hair different. Due in some part to the offensive line and some to his own doing, Jonathan Taylor has been disappointing in 2020. I am a big believer in his game, and I 100% think he will bounce back in 2021 along with that big offensive line. I actually tweeted sometime within the past month or two that Taylor will be a 1,200 yard back in 2021 to show you how strong I believe in him. Now, Jonathan is averaging just 3.8 yards per carry this year, and that will improve over the course of time. He has 3 games out of 10 so far averaging under 3 per carry, and simply put, that's not good, and I don't expect that to continue in the future. Now, I won't just slander him, and I will give him some praise, as he has averaged between 4 and 5 yards per carry in 6 games, but in some of those games he was getting just 6 or 8 carries and was not a huge contributor. Phillip won't be there for forever, and because I expect the next quarterback to be a rookie or a young player, I do think they will then lean on Jonathan Taylor, and rather heavily at that. And with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Some other candidates included Jeff Gladney of the Vikings, though he has improved recently, and Andrew Thomas of the Giants, and he himself has improved recently too. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like if you did, and subscribe to the channel while you are at it. Have a great Thanksgiving and a great rest of your day. Peace.